Well, thank you. Thank you very much, John. And good morning, everyone. Bonjour, Annie, bonjour. It's wonderful to be here. And it's great to see Julia again. We saw each other last weekend, I think it was, in a fudge shop in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And we did some pictures there because we weren't sure whether I was going to be able to get here today, whether we were going to be able to connect, and we wanted to do that picture. But my baby grandson was born early. He was due today. He was born on Tuesday, so I'm here, and it's wonderful to be here. Thank you. And I have some formal remarks, and I am going to make those. But first of all, I just want to thank everyone in this room for their support of the CNIB, their support of the community, and the work that you're all doing. I look down, I see Jim Sanders, I see David Lepofsky, I see people who have been active in the community and advocates in the community for so long. So thank you very much. And I've said many times that I believe that the way government works best is by connecting with people in the field who understand what is going on and understands how we need to move forward. And David Lepofsky was in my office not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and as a result of his visit, we're continuing to push on some of the concerns around enforcement of our standards and getting in place another standard to work on in terms of accessibility. So there is a lot of work yet to be done, and I appreciate John's kind words, and I think that we have done a lot as a government, but I'm not under any illusion that there's not a lot more to do. So I just want to thank all of you for your advocacy. And for everything that you do to support those living with visual impairment. Thank you. I'm very pleased to join you all here today. Je suis si heureuse de me joindre à vous tous ici aujourd'hui. And I know that this year's conference is focused on Braille and leveraging technology to achieve greater accessibility for everyone. And Julia was giving me a little primer last weekend about some of the new technology that she uses, and I look forward to hearing her story. And I really think it's so important that we continue to push ourselves as a society to make sure that everyone has the tools and support that they need to do their best. It only makes sense to me that we would do that. And so that is my focus as Premier, and I'm happy to have an opportunity to speak with you about how I think we can work together to make sure that every individual in this province has the opportunities that they deserve and that they can reach. In politics, we talk a lot about the economy, and we will be talking a lot about the economy in the days and weeks to come. We talk about productivity and job creation. And people tend to talk about these issues as though they are separate and abstract and almost academic. But I see the economy and Ontario's prosperity in the way that it relates to individual people. How does the economy manifest itself in our lives? So if our people have the best education, they have the right training and opportunities, if they can find a career that they love and a way to take part in and give back to their communities, then our economy is going to grow and prosper. And I think we have to bring it to that level and figure out how it is that people can or cannot take part to understand whether the economy is thriving or not. If people are treated fairly and do well, then the economy does well. And so our government's working to make sure that we focus our efforts in the right places, that we invest in people, that we invest in the infrastructure that builds strong communities, and that we support a dynamic business environment so that everyone, including not-for-profit organizations and centers like the CNIB, can do their best, because all of that is intertwined. And I think that the three elements of our plan work effectively together. And, there is a school of thought right now that would suggest that austerity and further constraint and further restriction of government is the way to go. And I can tell you that in Ontario we have made difficult decisions. We are one of the leanest governments in the country, and I believe that right now what we have to do is make these investments and support people, invest in infrastructure, support the business community in order for us to be able to thrive. So I am very focused on helping everyone to fully participate in the job market and in society, because we believe that this investment in our people is critical to our future. So whether it's people in the visually impaired community, whether it's young people, whether it's our Aboriginal youth, there are people who are not at this moment fully able to participate, and our focus is to make sure that they are able to participate. It's about fostering a fair society and increasing opportunity from my perspective. And it's also, as I've said, about strengthening our economy and making sure that our future prosperity isn't limited by physical or technological barriers or barriers of attitude. So all of those aspirations are intertwined. So I believe, and it's a bit of a truism, but I really believe it, that our greatest strength here in Ontario, and I'm reminded of that every time I meet people like Julia, that our greatest strength is our people. And so we're focused on removing barriers for people living with visual impairment. To achieve this, we've moved Ontario's Accessibility Director to the Ministry of Economic Development, Trade and Employment. It's not just a symbolic change. I really believe that this move will bring about positive changes because the discussions, the policy decisions that are made in the Ministry of Economic Development, Trade and Employment obviously are about those things. They are about helping people and finding ways for people to take part in the economy. So we want to incorporate accessibility across all of our sectors. And we're doing our part, but we have also called on the private sector to join us in this goal. We want all sectors to improve employment opportunities for people with disabilities, and there are good economic arguments, as all of you know, for businesses doing that. Our accessibility standard for employment will require employers to improve accessibility across all stages of the employment cycle, from recruitment to career development, so that everyone can compete on a level playing field. That transformation is already happening in the public sector, and the private sector will be working towards it as well. And I know that the next line in my remarks say that I'm confident that as businesses proactively remove barriers and create more accessible, inclusive workplaces, they'll improve their potential for growth. And I know that David Lepofsky will be having future conversations with me about whether that's happening or not and what we are doing to make sure it happens. So, David, I'm just going to preempt the question. And I know that we have to get on that. So there is a certain amount of push and pull that has to happen, and I understand that. And the question becomes just what are the mechanisms that we need to have in place to make sure that this happens? Moral suasion and encouragement is a big part of it, but there are other mechanisms that I know we need to try to develop. So this isn't, as I've said, it's not just the right thing for businesses to do. So this isn't just about altruism. It's also the smart thing to do. And it benefits everybody. If we support every person and enable them to do their best, we set ourselves, all of us, up for success now and in the years to come. And that's why, John referenced this, that's why we're providing $3.2 million to the CNIB to support accessible public library services, because I think that there's nothing more important than having access to the written word and being able to access those resources. We want to make sure that the people of Ontario can do that, can access reading material in alternative formats, so we can help improve literacy and encourage lifelong learning and make it easier for everyone to access those employment opportunities. And we're also working towards implementing unified English Braille in schools. The CNIB has shown great leadership in this area, and we're working with you and school board representatives to develop implementation plans so we can provide the necessary training and supports. And some of those changes are culture shifts for school boards and schools, and so we have to work together. So I want to thank all of you at the CNIB, all of you in the community, for being strong champions for accessibility and inclusion. I know that you work very hard, and I know that some of you have worked very hard for many, many years to improve people's lives, and you're contributing to the spirit and the prosperity, not just of the individuals with whom you work, but to society as a whole. So I'm very, very grateful to you, and it's an honor to be able to work with you, and I'll continue to support your efforts. And thank you very much for inviting me here this morning. David, I look forward to our next conversation. Thank you very much. Merci.